Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to take the challenge? The challenge. These guys are gonna kick your ass. Come on down, baby. Bring it. Are you really ready to take the challenge? I give you the locomotive of hurt, the pile-driving kings of New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, the innocent rocket train. Let the pain begin.
It's a natural fact that I love to attack. See your face making love to the map. And if you lie, I'm gonna block your eyes. I like to hurt, and I don't know why. I like to hurt people. I like to hurt people. Break your arms, I mean no harm, but I like to hurt. It's one of my charms. Smash your face till your face is dashed by the slam, 'cause I'm a man. I like to hurt people. I like to hurt people. Send them home to mama.
For the last 23 years, you've known him as Chad Alston, Chad Bowman, and just Chad. He's a co-host of a third-rate podcast, and now he wants to welcome you to Chad Hoover DeMara's Jobber Jamboree.
That's right, Daddy. Keep it going. I like to hurt people verbally. I love it. Man, I love this song, man. It's just so bad we couldn't find the original.
Yeah.
Any
Still working on that.
Yeah,
Dave Morris.
Anybody who listens to this show that hasn't seen I Like to Hurt People from the 70s damn, you're missing out on quite a cinematic orgasm is what I call it. But I'd like to welcome everybody to a great time to be inside the Jobber Jamboree today, everybody, because we're coming to you. I love how this works out because it's dated. The show's going to be dated because I'm bringing you my predictions for tomorrow, as I'm recording this Saturday, Survivor Series. And I can't just predict the matches myself, so I thought it would be a great idea if I invite somebody to come in. But the budget for the show is kind of low, so I got the producer that's going to be on the show. I asked him, "Do you watch wrestling?" And he and whatever English that he kind of knew, I read the word no, right? and I'm gonna have my producer for the show, Mark Jadabron.
It's great. Be here.
So later on in the show, we're gonna go through Survivor Series picks. We're gonna go through what we think is gonna happen. We got a lot of things to talk about today. The business is really starting to explode right now. One thing I like to talk about is Monday Night Raw. Well, Monday Night Raw is kind of once they moved to that 3-hour format, after about an hour, almost a 2-hour mark, it kind of becomes the same show, the same people, the same segments, per se. Well, if everybody's bragging about how great this NXT talent is, which I totally agree, Sami Zayn. I think his name is Neville. I think it's Adrian Neville. Is anyone a Neville brothers?
Well, does he have a giant mole on his
He's
face?
white.
Well, then he's not a Neville brother.
But with the recent acquisitions of Finn Balor and the Japanese guy, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. They haven't given an American name yet. But I think it's totally I think it kind of jumps right out at you. That maybe during the first hour of Raw, or maybe going into the second quarter hour, or going into the second hour of Raw, why not throw a guy out there? One of the guys that you're grooming down at your little training station.
As an introduction?
Right. Because you get the crowd hot. You come out with an angle. You got the Authority coming out. They're obviously going to beat up on John Cena or whoever the babyface of the du jour is. So they build up the angle there. The crowd's going to be hot. You send out these two new guys that are totally going to blow the minds of anybody who's seen them. They can sit there all day long and say, "Oh, I don't know who the hell Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn believe me, if this happens, if his name becomes Stephen Keen, I'm going to die." I cannot believe they're going to take a talent like Kevin Steen from Ring of Honor. I mean, how original is your WWE creative department when you pluck a talent? Granted, he's not one of them
Are you being sarcastic when you say that?
No. I love Kevin Steen.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying is that WWE takes a guy who's dominating an indie promotion like Ring of Honor, who's not your prototype physical character. He's not a bodybuilder. He carries a lot of weight. He's not an overweight guy. He just doesn't have the body.
He's a normal-looking guy?
Exactly, you could say that. But to me, he reminds me of a guy I would used to see in the 70s. When I grew up, I know what a real man looked like. You know what I mean? You go to a bar, you know what a real man looks like.
Yeah.
A guy walks in there, a little clean-cut jabroni guy,
A real man looks like Tank Abbott.
Right. You know who not to mess with. And Kevin Steen is one of them guys that I have a feeling they're going to strip that from him. And they're going to I have a feeling they're going to hold that weight issue over his head and they're going to kill it. That's what I think.
So he's kind of fat?
Yeah. He carries a lot. I would say he's probably maybe 275, 280, but he's only like maybe 5'11". And he's not a muscular type guy. Maybe I'm wrong about his gimmick.
So he's like a Tank Abbott type, maybe.
Sort of. But the guy is unbelievable. He does the stuff that the guys that are 185 pounds do.
Really?
And he does it for 60 minutes, 90 minutes. He'll come back out and do it again for 60 minutes. He's done it before. This guy is incredible. He does things that, remember the first time I showed you the guy suplexing the guy onto the buckle?
Oh, into the turnbuckle. Yeah, that was badass.
That was Kevin Steen.
Oh, that was him.
That was him. But the WWE...
Is that his move? Did he invent that?
Yeah, but it's not even his finish. It's not even his finish.
Holy crap.
No, it's a... I'm going to set you up for the package pile driver spot. But Kevin Steen, I think, they're gonna put him on the shelf. They're probably... This is my opinion. This is the reason why it's my podcast, is because this is the way that I see it.
Mm-hmm.
I have no privy to the inside information other than the internet. I don't know what's going on. And I think they're going to take a guy like him. They've done it before. They take him off the independents.
Mm-hmm.
They put him in developmental, and they kind of like just keep him there for 6-9 months, a year and a half comes up. What are we going to do with him?
You're getting paid during that time, though, right?
Yeah, but you're getting paid. You're not getting paid WWE money.
Yeah, you're getting extra money.
Yeah,
you're a featured extra.
Yeah, you're getting your maybe $3,000 a month.
Yeah, because you got to stay in a certain area.
Pay for your department.
Yeah,
your training. Yeah, they pay you in that sense. But what's the sense of you're keeping? This is the way I see it. You're keeping a lot of guys who had been in the business not a long time, but if you got in the business in the mid to late 90s, your career was already going to be shortened. As opposed to a guy who got into the business in the 70s or 80s. You're working a much harder style, much brutal style. You're not going to work 25, 30 years. So you're taking a guy who's 28 years old. I don't even know maybe Sami Zayn is. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, you kept him in developmental for 2 years. Now he's cooled off on the independents. Nobody's going to pay to see him anymore as El Generico.
Oh, he's basically disappeared because he has an exclusive contract.
He can't work for him.
So he can't be promoted or work for the independent, so his name cools off.
Right. And
at that point, when you break him out, you might as well give him a new fucking name, right?
That's right.
Assuming the guy has talent.
Or say the guy gets frustrated enough to the point where he asks for his release. Well, he's been off the independent.
Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, it happens. I know
they just put him on ice, and then guys eventually say, "I don't want to wait anymore. I want to work."
Mark Jabro, you were right. That's exactly the terminology they call him. They take a guy, they put him on ice because this guy's hot on the independents.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't got a spot for him. We think he needs some detail work, whether it's physicality, his look, his appearance, what we're going to put him in. So they put him on the ice. And he goes on ice. Well, they started making formats. These guys are sitting on ice. They're cold. They are ready to get hot. Give them a chance to get hot. Oh, you're at NXT. You work like twice a week in front of like 400
That's
people.
got to be super frustrating, right?
That's the whole. That's
because what do? They have the money. The WWE has the money. They buy up a bunch of talent.
Just stockpile it, man. It's like going to like the what do they call that? The Sam's Club. And they go to the Sam's Club of all the independent gimmicks, and they go, "We'll take two of these."
They're unloading them with a forklift.
Yeah, dude, I'll take 2 of these.
Yeah.
We'll put you out back. I got a freezer out back, and then
Yeah.
we'll see in a couple of years how you're coming along.
Meanwhile,
Oh,
it's enough independence to run your own Survivor Series.
yeah, this guy's great.
Yeah.
But what it's back to the point was, I think that these guys on Raw, you have 3 hours, man. You have 15 commercial breaks in 3 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Non-product commercial breaks, whether it's brand breaks.
Yeah.
You can't throw 2 guys. Tyson Kidd starting to make waves only because he does the whole headphone gimmick. Like he's coming out to Beats by Dre.
Who? What's his name?
Tyson Kidd. He's one of the last people that were trained in the Hart Dojo in Calgary.
Wow.
He's an amazing talent who's just he's on ice. He's on ice. He's getting ready to join ISIS. He's so much on ice. But he's making strides now. He's coming through. He's making Raw like 2 out of the last 3 weeks, I believe. And I think you should put these NXT guys. You got how long does it take? How long does it take?
Well, I don't know, but see, like people when people talk about like franchises, they often say that like sometimes like McDonald's and stuff, it's more about real estate than it is about anything else. So they're just protecting real estate. It's almost better for the WWE to hang on to a guy instead of let somebody else pick him up.
That's an old school. A company went out of business one time doing this formula.
Really?
They decided that it was in their best interest to soak up all the talent they could, pay them big money contracts to not work for Vince.
Is that a model that Vince subscribes to?
Vince, well, it kind of looks that way right now. I mean, he's like, you figure back in the days, I would say 20 years ago or so, very few of the outside. There was no training camps, no schools, nothing like that. Vince would have to bring you in, but once he dried that all up, where are you going to get your talent from? So then he started devouring the independents, which is like, dude, you're a carnivore. You went from the territories that were successful, now you're going to the little tiny independent shows.
Yeah.
What's next? The ones that run the little charity shows at churches. You want to kick the kid to altar boy and take all his money now and shake him down?
I would imagine at some point you still want people getting some free training so they can get to a point that they're worth purchasing.
Well, that's why they have
Right.
that's why they have the WWE the facility, their training center is where they go. But it's not like you can't just walk in there like a jabroni off the street. And go,
It would cost a lot of money to take somebody from nothing.
There's no money. You don't walk. This is not Planet Fitness or the go. You don't walk in and pay $20 a month to be a wrestler.
No, I mean it would cost a lot of money for the WWE to take people from nothing and completely make them, rather than let the independents.
I just thought I was driving by there and I saw they had a membership special. It was 2 for 1. Bring a
the
friend.
first month is free.
Yeah, bring a friend. No, it doesn't work that way. Well, you know how it is. They bring you in there. They like you. I heard it's an amazing facility, and everybody speaks so highly of it, and it's a great thing. But here's what I think we should really talk about a little bit, is what I think Raw should do. Raw as a brand is the #1 brand. Clearly, it's top dog. The house show business has been a little down, like not big down, but it's not going any higher. They're drawing. They're making their
People aren't showing up for live shows like they used
for
to.
live shows. And
Really?
Yeah, and I have a theory on why I think this is the reason. Is the WWE nowadays, as I take a sip of my natural light, the WWE nowadays will confiscate like signs that were anti-WWE, maybe had a little bit of profanity or a little controversial kind of message on it. Well,
So it's like when Budweiser goes and tears Coors signs off, like that kind of bullshit.
yeah, well, yeah, right. Yeah, kind of. But it's kind of like, dude, if you remember back, you won't, Mark Jabro, you won't remember this because back in the '90s, when the Monday Night Wars took over between Nitro and Raw, one of the best things about the feud was when the show would go live, and the camera just scoured the building, and they had signs. You could put phone numbers on them. They literally, I've called people during shows that I had phone numbers from. They put just whatever they wanted. This guy's a fag with an arrow pointing down. It was like the whole building was just signs.
So very politically incorrect, kind of like
Totally.
say whatever you want.
Totally. And that's great because
that's why you go to a live show, right?
Right, you think you see the red light, the camera's over there, red light. You're like, yeah, man, my sign says he's a douchebag, right? And it didn't matter. It didn't matter. But all of a sudden they started confiscating that away. You can't have a CM Punk sign. No CM Punk signs. But here's what I think they need to do. I think that you need to go back. It's going to be expensive, kind of, but here's where you use NXT as your counterpoint. When you do your Raw shows on the road, everybody knows SmackDown is taped. It's taped on Tuesday, aired on Friday. You can make edits. Raw's live. If you take Raw and you take it around just give me for every A city you have, give me one B city in that out of 5. So if you're in Chicago, give me another city that's like maybe Moline, or or you're doing Louisville. Give me a city that's right below Louisville. Well, you do your Raws from there, but you take the Raw brand as a show.
You do a bunch of club gigs,
but you take the whole entire setup. If you ever watch a Raw,
it would be like if a band's in town and a couple members played a local bar. Like the night before. Like they're going to be at one big venue, but they're going to hit other cities around with different people doing less matches.
Well, my point is that when you're watching a Raw, and every once in a while, it very, very seldom ever happens, they show you something from a house show. It's a work. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
The house show's dark. It's you see the lights above the ring. You can't see anybody. It's dark. How about if you present every single house show like a Raw, down to the fake cameraman, the fake guys doing the fucking commentary.
That is a show.
Right?
Yeah.
The pyro. You light it up. That way you feel like you're at a Raw.
Yeah.
You're at a Raw.
And you're in a room with a few hundred people.
No. Well, it's probably, we're talking maybe in the 5,000 people range.
Oh, okay. Well, at that point, you should be able to pay for that shit.
Right on. Because the big show at Louisville, the 13,000 house, is going to pay for that 5,000 house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you give the fans there the excitement of knowing, hey, this could be on TV. There's cameramen here. There's the pyro, the video walls. Not to the extent of Raw, the big gala.
Yeah.
But at a house show where you're like I said, Moline or whatever city, in smaller city, you're like, wow, I feel like I'm at Raw. Because I can't afford to go to Raw.
Yeah.
You give them like 7 matches because you're going to supplement your budget by paying the cameraman, the fake cameraman. Literally, it's the best gimmick. The fake cameramen that are doing this into the crowd. Everybody's, yeah, I'm on Raw. I think that would be a benefactor to the company.
And you could even put them online.
Right.
You put them online.
It's taping
and then
house
people
shows.
can watch the show they were at.
It's taping
and
house
subscribe.
Shows. It's taping house shows.
Yeah. It seems like a logical next move. They're getting into that subscription sort of thing.
Yeah, but they don't. They're way ahead of me. I think they're thinking. I'm thinking anything you tape, you should tape everything you do.
Everything.
If you have a show in Dubai, every minute, find a guy to.
But that's not happening now.
Well, it's kind of, but they're not doing it the right way. They're all being subjective. Nobody cares about this person. We're going to follow this person. Well, this person's got to go to the same airport. This person's got to go to. He has to go to the same.
Why not provide a place for that person's fans to follow what they're doing? So they're just like only giving certain people a lot of attention.
Oh yeah,
they don't want to oversaturate their brand.
Well, that's another thing I want to go into later on my podcast. Later on down the road, I do want to discuss my I don't want to call it disdain for the WWE network, but I'm totally in not agreement of how they present their format of that network. It really bugs me that the way they unrolled the whole entire thing, they dropped the ball, and this is definitely like their what do you say? Their take it home show.
Yeah.
This is, if the network don't survive, then it's really going to be a major. WWE is never going to go away, but it's going to be a major, major blow because stocks will plummet, guys will lose jobs. Excuse me. take another sip of my natural light.
So stocks are doing pretty good right now, or no?
They're on the down. They're on the down, but they're still relative. They're still in the game and everything. But we got a lot of people were asking me about Survivor Series coming up, and like I said before, I wanted to talk about how
Your predictions.
my predictions. And this is kind of a spoiler if you haven't heard yet, people, is that they announced it last night on SmackDown that if Team Cena loses in the main event, they all get fired from the company.
So John Cena and his band of babyfaces have a chance to end a long reign of corporate tyranny.
I didn't write that. Is that on my show?
No, I'm just reading this online.
My God.
So it's Team Authority versus Team Cena. They're calling it Team Authority?
Okay, well, let's set it up, Chris. I mean, Joe, bro.
Mark,
bro.
Mark, bro.
So what happened is Survivor Series. Obviously, what they were doing was the Authority was trying to scare every single member of Team Cena out of the game. They didn't want anybody to team with him. Anybody to team with him, they gave him options, and they failed and lost. And they're gone. Well, the Authority's got on paper, the Authority's a better team, but Team Cena, if they lose, they get fired. If the Authority loses, they ain't in charge anymore.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, they are going to be in charge again if they lose.
Well, I mean, they're rebels rising up against the Empire.
No, the Authorities are the ones that are the heels.
Oh, I mean, Team Cena is the rebels rising up against the Empire.
Well, see, that's why it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If John Cena's team loses, they will clearly find a way to bring them back in later on. Because, I mean, you're not getting rid of John Cena, obviously. But if the Authority loses, Vince McMahon is still the chairman of the fucking company.
Do you think Authority is ever... Are they going to break out the word terrorist? Is that going to happen at some point?
I don't know. That would be cool, though.
Yeah, because Team Cena probably looks at themselves like freedom fighters. They're fighting against the...
All right, well, you talk about this on your show.
Those in power.
So... here's what I think. Here's what I think is going to happen. I'm actually going to think... I'm going to say that Team Cena is going to win. And it's going to probably come down to Cena and probably Triple H, the last two. It's an old school match. But here's another.
Well, what about this? What about Triple H's announcement on SmackDown that members of Team Cena will be fired if they lose?
That's the problem. That's what I said. That's the other
so
angle.
This is literally a competition that's going to end in somebody no longer being employed.
Well, that's what they're telling everybody. That's what they're leading the sheep to believe. That's what they're doing.
I'm more curious of how you think they're going to get out of that. Because they're not firing. Nobody's firing Cena.
Of course not. He's the babyface. So the clear deal is you boot the Authority. You boot, and plus here's a little caveat that I was trying to talk about earlier was that Sheamus, who was on Cena's team, he got injured last night at a house show. And he's not, if he goes in
But that's not a work?
No, it's a shoot. He got hurt. He definitely got hurt, but they didn't say what his injury was because they didn't want to kayfabe it to the people.
Yeah.
But if he gets in the ring tonight, it's not gonna be for a long time. I can pretty much tell you that. So you're going with who you going with, Grit? I mean, Mark.
Well, I think I'm going Team Cena because
we're agreement.
I like to be with the underdog. I love the idea that they're calling Team Authority the Empire. Like that. That's great.
Because they're setting up for a show, The Empire Strikes Back.
It's got a lot of exactly. It's got a lot of political undertones, and it has you want to see the Empire come back at some point.
Well, I think that's going to be a spectacular event, but I'm also looking forward to the semi-main event as they're presenting it to me, which is Bray Wyatt making his I guess long-awaited comeback match versus Dean Ambrose.
Well, that would be hard for me to comment on, but I guess I'll go Gene Ambrose.
Gene Ambrose?
Is that the name?
Well, maybe
Dean?
Maybe that's his mother. I don't know, but his name is Dean.
Is that what Dave's?
But Bray Wyatt's an interesting fellow because he has been off TV for a few weeks, and before he was off TV, he did a few jobs and on TV. Mm-hmm. So his luster was a little bit tarnished. And when he shows up and he gets a hellacious pop. Like, he's a guy that you would think you would want to be a heel. When you book this guy, you want him to be a heel.
Okay.
But when he comes out and talks to the people, and then people
He's too lovable.
No, he's a bad guy, and bad is good.
Yeah, people love bad guys.
Yeah, and
They can relate because most people are bad people.
Right, and Dean Ambrose is, and I mean Bray Wyatt is a guy who really, in my opinion, needs a win. He needs a win because he's been off TV and he's been on the shelf so long. But Dean Ambrose is so hot right now. Like, he's literally the guy carrying the company since Roman Reigns is on the shelf.
So, are you agreeing with me or disagreeing with me? I can't tell.
I'm going with Bray Wyatt. I mean,
okay, so we disagree on that one.
I think Dean Ambrose could actually lose this match and not be tarnished whatsoever as far as moving on to later on.
All right.
Then I think we get like a 4 or 5 tag team match. And I had to write this down in like quick notes because there's too many names to put in it.
Yeah.
But we're going to say Goldust and Stardust versus The Miz and Mizdow versus The Usos versus Los Matadores.
Now, Goldust, that's Ric Flair's kid, right?
That's Dusty Rhodes.
Or Dusty Rhodes' kid, I'm sorry. So, I'm going whatever team Goldust is rolling with, like whatever group he's rolling with.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say finally, I hope that the powers that be have finally really recognized the talents of The Miz and Mizdow, because if you look at the ratings needle on Tuesday morning during that whatever that half hour, quarter hour is when Mizdow's on there, the crowd's laughing. The crowd's laughing. So
And that's a good thing.
If I'm channel surfing and I come across something that's entertaining, I'm gonna stop there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. Therefore, I'm a rating now. So whatever they're doing something good. They're making an impact, but how long it's going to be before anybody sees that and gives them recognition for it? Who knows? It could be 5 minutes ago or never, because it's a WWE.
Yeah, and also because it's not something people stumble upon channel surfing. People know, most fans watch it when they watch it.
Well, you're right, because it is Monday night, so you only got 2 options. You got wrestling or football.
Yeah.
Or if you're a bitch, I'm sorry, if you're a lady and you're single, then you watch like Lifetime or something. Well, now we're going to move on to the women's match that I think is really, really interesting, because we got Nikki Bella. She's
okay. You're gonna have to let me look these up, because I know how I'm voting on this one. I'm going to vote in the most sexist way possible.
Well, then you're gonna vote for AJ.
So hold on. AJ's the one that she's married to
CM Punk.
Oh, okay.
AJ versus Nikki. Well, see, here's the.
Well, let me make my own opinion about it. Nikki.
Well, let me give you the story, stupid. The backstory is that AJ, there's internet talk, which I'm not really sure of or can confirm.
Mm-hmm.
There's talk of her leaving, pulling a CM Punk, like rolling out.
Oh.
So therefore, I don't know when her contract expires. So I could see him leaving the belt on AJ, and have AJ walk out with the belt as an angle.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, you're gonna have to tell me which is which in this picture.
AJ's the good-looking one that looks like a trailer park girl with the little coochie cutter thing. She's good-looking.
Which one's AJ there?
On the ground.
That's the one I wanted to win. Yeah.
AJ's hot, man. She's hot. At CM Punk married over, or whatever they call it. Anyway,
he married ahead of his time.
So who do you like? You like AJ as well?
Yeah, I'm going with AJ. So we agree on that one.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer, because Nikki's got the angle going on with her sister Brie, where she's like her servant for 30 days. There's no need to disrupt that. Now, here's how I wrote this on my notes there, Mark Jabro, is I wrote 8-girl tag, and all I wrote next to it was Paige or Natty.
God, that sounds like a game I want to play.
So apparently,
8-girl tag.
Apparently they're putting out an old school Survivor Series match where they're going to do like the 4-girl, or if you get pinned, you're out match.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the list of participants, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't recognize anybody's name but Paige or Maddie, who are the top 2 girls that are getting pushed right now.
Paige is kind of a hot name, right?
Yeah, but she's the girl from England. See, she's the girl you would pick because she's the goth. She's so pale, it's awful. And she's only 20 years old.
So why? No.
Or I think she's.
Why would I pick her? Because she's 20 years old.
She's 22 now because she's been.
Oh, she's 22. Yeah, I pick her.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it down because I really thought that Mark Jabro would pick that because the folks.
Yeah, because I'm 22.
Yeah, the folks at Buzzsprout let me know that I was working with a new guy today. His name is Mark Jabro, and he's only 22 years old.
Yeah.
So I figured, hey, he'd love the 22.
But I can't date a girl I can't take to the bar, you know.
Well, she's 22, I believe. Honestly, I'm going with. I love Paige. I think Paige is unbelievable talent. I really think she's really.
Like talent or talent?
Well, she's not my kind of talent. If you talk about after.
Oh, okay.
Because she's the pale tattoo thing kind of thing going on.
Yeah, but she's still talent.
Yeah, but she was born into this business. Her dad and her mom both were professional wrestlers.
Really?
You can look in the history books and you can see that
Her mom was.
There's only 2 or 3 people ever in this business that were mother and father wrestled in the business, and the daughter. I can tell you it's.
But there's a lot of potential for that to happen in the future, right?
I think it's DiBiase, maybe DiBiase.
Really?
DiBiase.
Great head of hair, that DiBiase.
What are you talking about?
Ted DiBiase.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, DiBiase, and I want to say there was another family that had another mother-daughter thing going on. Anyway, I'm going with I actually want to go with Natty because I think because of that online diva show, I really think her character is starting to come out, and because of the fact she's working with her husband AJ,
I'm with
our
Paige.
Tyson Kidd. I think that they're really. I don't think beating Paige is going to hurt her at all. You know, if Natty wins.
All right, so look at this picture, Paige. She's a little chinny, but
again, it's not your show.
A bat wrapped with barbed wire.
It's old.
Okay.
Save it for your show.
All right.
Mark Jabro. Anyway, we agree to disagree on that one. Well, here we go. How about this? In the opening match, that's probably not going to be seen by anybody because it's on the pre-show. They're going to have Fandango, who came in. What is that expression, Mark? Where you come in like a what and leave like a what? What is it? You come in like a lion.
I think it's the name of a bar in Philly. But
if you come in like a lion, you leave like a lamb. Is that the expression? Well, Fandango made his WWE career debuting at WrestleMania.
It's Fandango. It's not Fandango.
It's Fandango. Listen to this. This is great.
Yeah.
He made his WWE career or his debut at WrestleMania, beating Chris Jericho.
Oh, your boy.
Yeah, and they were thinking like this guy is going to be the next big thing ever. And how about this? I haven't written down on my notes is he's on the pre-show.
of Jericho's podcast?
No, he's on the pre-show of the Survivor Series that's going to be on tomorrow night, and he doesn't even have an opponent. There's not even an opponent scheduled for him. So I'm picking. Here's my Chad Hoover DiMera Survivor Series pick of the day.
Okay,
I'm going to shock the whole entire world tomorrow when I pick. I'm going to go with. Sami Zayn is going to wrestle or work Fandango tomorrow on Survivor Series.
Okay, that has not been announced.
No, it hasn't been announced, and I'm completely just making that up because all it told me was Fandango was wrestling in a pre-show match. So
and like by pre-show you mean free show.
Yeah, before. So I'm gonna think that WWE has enough savvy to say, hey, look, we got these NXT guys. They're ready to be seen on the big stage. Let's get them out there, and hopefully they're gonna abide by that. Because you can only have how long can your soup cook for? You got all these ingredients in this fucking soup, and all of a sudden it's gonna boil. Like, what are you gonna do with them? You can't. You're gonna throw them all onto the WrestleMania at one time. Nothing's gonna stick.
Yeah,
it's not gonna stick.
You got to turn the heat down.
Yeah.
Or it bubbles over the pot.
Nothing's going to stick if you just throw it all at them.
Yeah.
But you got to have a time frame. You got to have a 6 months goal. Is what you got to have. It takes 6 months to bring a guy in, introduce him, and get him over to the people at least. And that's just to get him in. That's not saying, oh, you're going to be a big star, kid. It's just getting him over. Well, now that we said that. Next time we check out Chad Hoover DiMera's Jobber Jamboree, we're going to look at who has the better authority on pro wrestling. Is it going to be me, the host, or is it going to be the producer, Mark Jabra? Because I'm thinking this guy.
I'm betting on the host.
He's a minimum wage guy, and he's going to tell me he knows pro wrestling. Well, Anyway, there's a lot of people I want to thank about this show. I want to thank a lot of folks for listening to this. And Bottom Feeders and Buzzsprout have been one of our biggest supporters on this show. If it wasn't for Buzzsprout, we would not be allowed to be doing this for you for free. We do an hour a week or 45 minutes a week, whatever I have on my mind.
Don't forget Charity Beers.
They're not a sponsor yet. But we like to think you just railroaded the whole entire read, man. This is not Bottom Feeders. But we would love all your feedback on just comment, your questions, anything you feel like you want me to talk about on my podcast and give you my honest opinion the way I see it. Feel free to leave them on 670-271-CLAW. Is that close?
270-681-CLAW.
That's right.
But yeah, but eventually you'll have your own hotline. Bottom Feeders is working on that for you.
Yeah, we're working on a Facebook page, a Twitter page. We're working on that. But leave your anything you want me to talk about, I'll gladly respond to. And all the sponsors, they've been great. And another thing I want to say before I leave is I want to say that, man, I really feel my prayers and thoughts go out to Jim Harris, also known as Kamala, who recently lost his other leg due to diabetes today. And dude, I know how you feel, man. I don't know how you feel. I feel bad for you, bro. It's brutal. Take care of yourself, and I really, really, really hope the best.